Hello, everyone. Can't hear you. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, that always gets me.
I have it set so it mutes as soon as everybody gets in, just so they have a minute to
Yeah.
get themselves adjusted. I just find myself babysitting a pile of dirt through my window, praying it doesn't wash away.
Life of a homeowner.
I was legitimately excited about this. It's pretty pathetic.
Right. I also love that our conversation about dirt is being recorded. I'll have to edit this part out.
Oh, I forgot about that. Hello. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Drew. Hi, Helen. Everybody's muted, so if you're saying hi, I can't hear you. You have to unmute.
Hi, hear me now?
Yep.
I can hear you now. Welcome. How are you?
Very good, and yourself?
I am hanging in there. I'm glad to see everybody. Automatically puts a smile on my face. People.
Yeah.
COVID is not kind.
No, it's not kind. It's messing up everyone's lives.
Yes, it is. Hopefully, we'll be through it soon. At least here. Keep praying.
83 people registered, so we'll see what that pans out into.
This is the first meeting that I took off the waiting room, so hopefully that also helps. Everybody can just jump in.
Well, I don't think it worked because I've been admitting people from the waiting room, but you know, Zoom is fun.
I'm not even getting that option, so it must have assigned it to you tonight.
Oh, well, I was the first one to join, so I guess I'm the host. Sorry. Oh yeah, look, I can mute you. Oh. Oh, I've muted you now, and I can't actually unmute you, so that was great.
Don't worry, I won't let you mute me.
So I'm apparently the host. Fantastic. You paid for the account, but yet here I am. Oh.
That's okay. It gives me anxiety because I always feel like I'm going to forget and leave some poor soul hanging in the waiting room. Hello, Mr. Legislator.
You are.
And look, he's got a cool Biden graphic. How are you guys doing this?
What's his base? That's Biden's basement. I love that.
I will tell you I cheated. I went to the Biden website, and on the website they have backgrounds. There's a whole bunch.
That's awesome.
I have to go check this out. That is so cool. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt, but you can't tell. All you can really see is some aviators. I want to talk to whoever's doing the merchandising, and I'm sorry, I have 4 children that are locked up with me, so my apologies beforehand.
They're cute.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this goes from calm to chaotic very quickly.
I have half that, and I don't understand how you do it with double.
I don't know. I think you adapt as you go, and just you pray daily that you survive on coffee and wine in the evening.
I think that is 100% true.
You know, I called the Suffolk County Center, and I swear I got you. You tried to deny it, but I swear I got you. I called looking for help from my mother-in-law, and I'm positive you answered the phone, but you did a great job. But you still mentioned your little girl. You're like, no, I'm not rich for a shower.
I can't confirm nor deny if I was working at the call center.
I heard your voice so much on Facebook during that campaign. I know it was. So definitely, but you did a great job. So kudos to you. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you.
No, well, thank you for having me. I mean, this is great. I think this is sort of the things that we need. We need more people getting together and talking about, you know, how to win in November. And it's not like lip service. Like I honestly believe that. It's crazy.
I love it.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize it came up. Oh wow.
Before it was a little icon in the top right-hand corner, but now,
yeah,
you're rocking.
They have like 5 of them.
You mean this isn't a Trump rally?
Hell no.
Oh, God.
Oh, and I see Dwayne. Welcome, Councilman. Oh, he's still connecting. Oh, before I forget, happy anniversary, Legislator Richburg. I did not forget.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Yes, thank you. This is tomorrow, and I'm probably going to pay a lot of penance for taking an hour at 7 o'clock, right? That's gonna be,
It's for a good cause.
it is.
Hello, Councilman. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How's Babylon treating you?
Good. Good.
Glad to hear it.
It's about to. It's getting really cloudy. It's about to storm real good in a minute.
You don't have the rain?
It's pouring
Not
here.
yet. It's thundering.
It's coming, and it's
coming.
harsh.
I mean, we're in the middle of it, so
Oh, really?
that's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
We had about 20 minutes ago, we had some really heavy rain and thunder and stuff.
I was just bemoaning because literally minutes before it started to pour, I had like $150 worth of topsoil delivered. So now I have this huge mound of dirt completely unprotected, and I'm praying it doesn't end up being a very expensive mud puddle, because otherwise I'll be out there in tears. So I just keep looking over to make sure it's still there.
Maybe we'll travel 5,000 miles like the Sahara Desert did.
If be my luck, I buy dirt and it all just shows up via the wind. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Look, everybody. Oh, it's not even 7 o'clock yet. We're running early. Look at this.
Yeah, it's only 6:56. We have people already. It's great.
That's exciting. I have to say, I like your view better, Vincent. You're going to have to take tonight's picture because I forgot that last time.
Well, I will take some wonderful screenshots for you, Liam.
I'm counting on you because I totally forgot. And you have a better screen for it. Actually, I'm lying. Oh, there it is. I switched. So I'll just give a few more people a chance to sign on. And we should be good.
Yep. Like, 7:00.
Hi, John. Welcome back. Jason's really making us look bad. We need to upgrade these backgrounds. He keeps popping up front and center.
I can't get it to work right. Look at this. My green. Oh Lord, no.
If I showed you what this room really looked like right now, you would understand why I have the background.
You see behind me that gigantic refrigerator back there?
Yes.
I have to literally position my chair so I don't look at it, because right now that A is a terrible view, and B, it was delivered to me from PC Richards broken for a week and a half now. So
oh my God.
Aggravation. So I got background envy over here.
Well, we figured out we had to get the boys' room together. So unfortunately, we took all the stuff that we had and we just threw it in a room. And then COVID happened, right? And so we never had a chance to sort of go through the room. So there's like junk and TVs and luggage all behind me. So this looks a lot more professional.
Definitely does. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Yes, we are picking up in terms of people joining.
There's a buzzing somewhere. Maybe I should use myself in the background. I don't know what that buzzing is.
It might be on your side. I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I hear it too.
You're muted now, Leanne.
I was looking to see if it was me. Anything's possible. It stopped. Perfect. Jen figured out the Biden background. We're gonna have to play with this.
Yeah, we're going to. All right, it is 7 o'clock. We're gonna wait another minute or so to let people join at the time, and then we will get started.
Hello, you have my audio, not my video today.
We're happy to have you either way.
Okay, thanks.
Here comes Donovan.
Hello, Miss Leanne.
Hello, Mr. Curry. Hi, Nancy, Diane, Helen, Thomas, Charles, Ben. Thank everybody for coming. We're actually doing pretty good for time. I'm so impressed that everybody's coming so early.
Yes, I'm happy with the turnout thus far.
Just wanted to see if I could get on and would have a problem,
I'd rather be early than late and say hi to everybody.
Yep.
Someone's buzzing.
What is that background noise?
Are we getting a button somewhere? Is it me?
I think it might be you.
Sounds like you, Vincent.
Yep. All right, Vincent, I'm sorry. It's you.
Better now?
No.
No, it's worse.
Same.
We're gonna switch to the phone.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Vincent, if you have two devices, they might give feedback and causing a problem.
He has mastered muting the computer while using the phone. We've had to do this a few times. I apologize for any screaming in my background. As I was saying, I have 4 kids that are all
That's
locked
all right.
up. It's raining.
They're locked up?
Well, you can't throw them outside because it's pouring. So they're contained. Play dates are not a thing anymore. Hello, Mrs. Cartwright. Welcome.
Hi, good to see
How
everyone.
are you?
Hi, Valerie.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting.
Oh, we're glad to have you. You've had a lot on your hands. You had a primary to get
Yeah.
done.
Oh yeah, we still working through that one.
When
I
are
can't
they,
imagine.
when are they going to announce the results of the primaries?
We're probably not going to start counting Congressional District 1 and Senate District 1 until next week. Yeah, they're starting off with Congressional District 2. So if they start next week, it could be 10 days or so. So mid-July.
That's
We
an
have
eternity.
18,000 ballots.
Oh, we need to do this differently. I know Colorado, as they pre-count their ballots, and it works fine. We may need to look at that, what they're doing in Colorado, and adopt that.
God bless
Yeah,
you, Valerie. I can't wait that long.
As we get, hopefully, as we get more experience with using all, first of all, can you hear me as I adjusted the, great. So hopefully as we get more experience with all this absentee ballot and mail-in ballots, we will get a better processing system. I still have a lot of people coming into the waiting room, so wait till another minute till 7:05, and then we will get started.
If it's in here. Oh, if it's in here.
Hey, Gus.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi.
Hi,
Sure.
my name is Carla. I had called up to do phone calls for Biden, and I'm not sure how to do it. So how would I?
We have great news for you, Carla. This Tuesday, we are hosting a training on how to phone bank for Joe. So so you can come to that. Me and Leanne will be sharing our screen and going over exactly how you can make calls from home, and we will get you all hooked up with that. So that we have that in our Facebook events. If you're in, are you in our group, or do you have me to? And it's in our newsletter as well.
I wanted, I went on, is there any, I know you'll be hosting it. I did see a script, Phil, that you have, that you call up and you could follow that script.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My best suggestion, though, is take the meat of the script and condense it, because I don't care what campaign it is. It's always way too long. So no one wants to listen to all that. They want you to be present and not be a robot. So if you could find a way to make it, roll naturally off your tongue while getting the gist of what's there, that's usually the best way to go, because the more natural you sound, the more receptive the person on the other end will be. Especially in this format, people really want, someone to listen to and speak to. We're all so isolated.
Well,
all right, so it is about 7:06. We have a number of people here. The number of people joining has slowed down, so we're going to get started. So hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to start off with an introduction from the wonderful Leanne.
Oh, put me on the spot. Thanks. Welcome, everybody. I want to first say thank you to Legislator Richburg and Councilman Gregory for joining us this evening. I'm really excited that they could come. Poor Dwayne has, I have his phone number, so he can't avoid me, but Richburg didn't have to come. I didn't have his number. Although I'll probably try to find a way to correct that. We really appreciate all you guys being there. I wanted to say part of our hopes as a group and in these meetings is to connect the national campaign down to our level here in Suffolk. That way it doesn't seem so distant. A lot of times right now, especially in all the noise that Trump makes, everything's a different day, a different news drama, and it all just feels so far away. This way we bring it home. We also want to make sure we help out our down ballot Dems and get them over the finish line and just create some excitement amongst ourselves. I know I personally get tired of seeing the red hats and the flag. And meanwhile, I know there's a whole community of us out there that are just kind of disconnected because of COVID. So we want to give everybody that space. So welcome, and we hope you enjoy it. If you have feedback, we'd love to hear it, because we'd love to keep this growing. With that said, I am a mom of 4. So you're going to probably hear screaming and chaos in my background. I promise you, no child is being hurt. There's just no way to put them outside. So bear with me. I am a former candidate myself, so I know how hard it is to run. I can't imagine trying to do it in this format. That was another reason why I really wanted to pitch in. As we have a couple electeds here will say, it's a really hard job. So especially being that you can't go out to reach voters, they're really going to rely on us, whether it be Joe and everybody on the national level or down here with Jackie and our state Senate candidates. So if we can work together to make a difference, this is the ideal time to do it. So with that said, thank you for being here. And I'm going to hand it off to Donovan.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I think I'm still in mute. Okay. Yeah, thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. I don't have to go over everything that has happened to us in the last 3.5 years. I'm going to assume that everybody on this call tonight is well aware of what's happening. Therefore, it's very important for us to get this guy out of the White House. We need to just, if we have to kick him dragging and screaming out of 1600 Pennsylvania, that's what we need to do. I've had enough of him already. The latest stunt with him not responding to our military families with Russia putting a bounty on our soldiers, that's crazy. You should never have to think twice about dragging Putin on the carpet and smack him around. If I had my way, he would be out of the White House tonight. He would be gone. But the Constitution doesn't allow that. We have to wait until November 3rd to kick him out. So I'm hoping that each and every one of you here will find a way to help, donate, help our down-ballot candidates. We have some wonderful congressional candidates, state senate candidates. We need to help them and make us all be successful. If any one of you have any questions at the end of the function tonight, I will be around to answer questions. Vincent?
Thank you so much, Donovan. So my name is Vincent Vertuccio. I'm a high school student from Sable going into my senior year. As Donovan said, we all know what a disaster this presidency has been. We know about this president's record of bigotry, the vacuum of leadership he's created, how he's handled this crisis. He's really spurred me to action. He's spurred a lot of us to action. Just getting him out is so critical. But one of the important things about operating here in Suffolk County is that we have lots of competitive down ballot races. And if we put Joe Biden in office, and we don't have any members of Congress supporting him, and we don't have the senators, and we don't have the states to back him up, he's not going to get very far. We need a Democratic House. We need a Democratic Senate. We need Democrats on every level of government. And that's what we're here to do. At the end of this meeting, after our wonderful speakers go, me, Leanne, Donovan, and others, we're going to be talking about some of the things that we're going to be doing as a group, some of our goals. We're taking questions as well. And we're really excited to see all of you here. I think our speakers will be taking well. So I'm once again so happy to see, I think, almost 40 of you here tonight. It's very important that we get this man out of office. It's going to take groups like this, meetings like this, everywhere in the country to get it done, because he has money behind him. It's great to see you all here, and if we work together and we put in the effort, we make the phone calls, we write the postcards, we knock on the doors when that becomes feasible. If it does, that's how we do it. One thing I want to highlight before I pass it over to Anthony Portese, our other wonderful vice chair, is that we do have an event coming up this Tuesday. It's a virtual phone bank for Joe. You can find it in our Facebook events. I'll also put a link to it in the chat at the end of the meeting. Basically, in this, me and Leanne will be training you how to make phone calls, how to log onto the Biden site, get that script going, make calls for Joe. We'll all mute our mics, turn off our cameras, make an hour or so of calls, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss how it goes, sort of simulating that field office experience. One little incentive, and thanks to the wonderful Christian from the Huntington Town Dems, is we're going to have Biden bumper stickers. I know how much all of you love yard signs, bumper stickers, swag. We need to counter all of the Trump merchandise that is far too ubiquitous on the island. We have about 100 Biden bumper stickers available. So if you come to this phone bank, you make 20, 30 calls, we will verify that afterwards, and we will send you a Biden bumper sticker for your car, for your window, for your laptop, a little bit of an incentive to make some calls. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to the wonderful Anthony Portese.
Anthony, where are you?
All right,
Okay.
is my mic unmuted now?
There you
You're good.
All right, you folks can hear me. Okay, so this is great. This is a great start. I know we had a little bit of a rough go of it, getting started and getting things going, but this is very, very exciting because the Suffolk for Biden group that was kind of started by Leanne, Vincent, and Donovan has really kind of grown by leaps and bounds. Every week, as a delegate for Joe Biden coming from New York, I'm on the calls, and these calls so far have been a lot more structured than some of those calls. They kind of talk about 3 or 4 things, and then they go off the rails onto like subtopics about things that you can't fit into a half an hour call. So everything's actually been going very, very well. I'm very, very excited. And what Vincent did with what I call Joe Biden swag is actually awesome, because I had a Biden bumper sticker. It got ripped off. So I bought another one and slapped one on the back of my car. So let's see how long that lasts. But I'm very, very excited about everything. And also, thank you, Jason Richburg. Congratulations on your special election victory. You killed it. For those of you that don't know, he got like 80% of the vote. That's like, amazing for a local election. So he killed it. His volunteers killed it. His campaign killed it. And Dwayne Gregory, thank you for being on this call today. You're doing great things in Babylon. You did great things in the Suffolk legislature during your time there. And we're looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks.
Okay, with that, we're going to pass this to Jason Richburg, and he's going to take the floor since apparently now he's also been introduced as our newest superstar. So, All you.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I know it's weird. This is not like a room, so I can't hear if you. I can't hear you. I can see you. I want to thank Donovan and Leanne and Anthony but I'm gonna wait on Vincent for a second. But I want to thank them for putting this all together. I think it's important that we figure out ways as Democrats, as people who are supporting Joe Biden, to come together and sort of support each other and figure out next steps. But Vincent and I met about a little bit more than a year ago, right? And Vincent was a super campaign organizer for Bill Lindsay's campaign, always with a cheerful smile, and didn't matter what was going on. He still kept us moving, and he made sure you didn't stay in headquarters too long. So I know when you guys are doing, because I'm signed up as well. When we do our phone banking next Tuesday, I'm sure that Vincent's going to make sure that we don't talk too long and we make a lot of calls, right? He's telling you 25. He probably wants you to make 250. I see him laughing, and I know that's true. So I don't know how much everybody knows about me, but my name is Jason Richburg. I was previously the clerk of the Suffolk County Legislature under presiding officer Gregory. I was his chief of staff for about 4 years for him, and then he selected me to be chief deputy clerk, and then later clerk of the legislature. And then I have the pleasure of representing the 15th legislative district, which is the southwest area of the county. I have one of the highest minority districts in the county, and so I hear everything that's going on. And we have a huge demographic. We represent Black, Hispanic, Latinx, Haitian Creole communities, white, Caucasian, and all sets of the economic spectrum. And I think what's important in my district is that what we do here, and I think what our election proved. And I say our because it's not mine. I had a great team. I had great friends helping me out, is that we were listening. We were out there listening and having conversations with people. And I think that's what Leanne was talking about when we make phone calls. As a person who benefited or helped in 2008 when President Obama won, I was working on a college campus. There were 2 college campuses, 2 historically Black colleges across the street from each other. President Obama won about 2,000 votes in Ohio that year. Why that's important is that there's 5,000 people at Central State's campus and about 1,000 people at Wilberforce's campus, and we got a majority of those folks out to vote. So if we weren't able to have that grassroots campaign, we might have had a different outcome, at least in the state of Ohio. And what else happened at that point in time is that we had folks coming in to drive students to the polls from all over the country. Literally from Alaska to Maine to Florida to show up to pull up. And we also had people making phone calls. And that's what I think that's what the best thing that we can do right now is connecting with voters, getting Joe's message out to people and letting them know that there are real people on the other side who actually believe these things. I had a conversation with a progressive group earlier. They're a nonpartisan group called Young People For, and they have progressive Democrats all over the country, and a lot of them feel isolated. A lot of them feel like they're disconnected, right? They don't feel like there's other people around them who are linking them. And by us making phone calls, by us doing those checks, by us saying, hey, can we count on your vote? You're connecting those people to other people. And you're making them not only feel better, but feel more secure in voting. And that's a really important key. Because when people feel like there are other people with them, that they're not alone, that there's nothing we can't do. If you out and you see these rallies, a lot of people are just surprised at the number of people are coming out because everybody feels alone in their values, alone in their thoughts, alone in their messages. And when you feel alone, you're not as strong, right? You're not as dynamic. You're a little tentative, right? But when you're able to see that there's hundreds of thousands of people all over the country who believe in the same things, right? Millions of people who believe in the same things. Somebody in a random county in a random part of the country is going to call me to make sure that I'm still voting. That means a lot, right? That's the difference between winning and losing. And I'm not going to tell you what everybody else is going to tell you to stop watching polls. Just stop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it says right now. It's like at the beginning of the game. At the beginning of the game, anybody can win. It doesn't matter what the likelihood, what the ratios are. None of that matters. What matters is what happens on game day and up to game day, right? It matters how many people we get to the polls. It matters how many people we connect. It matters how many people we activate, how many people we remind. All of those things add up to a victory. And on top of that, at home, right? Because we have to we have a double or a triple responsibility. Because our first responsibility is to ourselves and to our family and our networks to making sure they go out to the polls, wherever they may be. I myself downloaded the Joe Biden app. I was on the call last week. I was going through my friends list, some people I haven't seen since college, and I started looking like, all right, I have to start reaching out to them. And I started doing that slowly but surely during the day. Not during committees, Dwayne, I promise. But what we also have to do after that is once we do that part, we then have to make phone calls and get people in other states out. And then we also have to make sure that our local candidates are activated. Our local candidates feel the love. Because as Vincent said, if we get Joe elected, and when we get Joe elected, if he doesn't have a team, if he doesn't have a bench of people that he can go to, then he's going to be stuck. And if nothing can show you what can happen, look at President Obama in 2010. In 2010, he lost the Senate, right? And he lost some major seats in the House. And he went from a very, very productive president to someone who couldn't get things across because of everything. They wanted to make him unsuccessful. They wanted to make him a bad president. They weren't successful. But that's the difference. That's what's important. So we need to not only get people in Congress, in the U.S. Senate, Governor Cuomo needs a bench, right? We need to get more reforms out there. We need more reforms in the Assembly. We're going to need help to make sure next year that the legislature stays in. We need in November, we got to get Dwayne Gregory elected to town council. I'm used to saying reelected. To get Dwayne Gregory elected to town council and so many others, because you can see the difference between Democrats running things in the United States and what happens when the other side does. So with that, thank you very much. I can't wait to hear what I can't say colleague, it's my mentor is going to say. I know he's going to knock it out of the park, but thank you very much. Thank you to Leanne. Thank you to Vincent. Thank you to Anthony and Donovan. And thank you to all of you for coming out. It's great to be here, and I'm going to be here no matter what. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Great job.
So what we're going to do in terms of questions, because last time was a little bit messy, is we're going to have the wonderful Dwayne Gregory speak, and then we're going to take questions at the end for both speakers. So with that, turn it over to Leanne for our introduction.
First of all, the first time I met Dwayne was when he was running for Congressional District 2, which is now a seat up for grabs where we have the amazing Jackie Gordon running. And I met this really nice, quiet, but really cavalier guy at his fundraiser, and to which the poor guy's been stuck with me ever since. Dwayne is a kid that grew up here in CI, where I live, and we are very underrepresented. He is always willing to help others, including myself, and mentor others to run and how to canvass and how to be a good elected. Unfortunately, I didn't make it this time, but I'm going to lean on him again for next time. And he is a veteran and just an overall great guy and a really great representative for those he works really hard for. So it's a really big honor to introduce Dwayne, especially to this group. So welcome, Dwayne.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you to all the organizers for organizing Suffolk for Biden, because I think it's a very important thing to do. And although we're in New York, we still have to make sure that, and people discount because we're in New York, that we can't be helpful to the Biden success, which is untrue. We can do as much as we can locally and in the region to get the support out for November's election. And it takes commitment and sacrifice. So I really appreciate all of you coming here tonight and making a commitment to go forward to make sure this gets done. You know, I first got involved in politics in Suffolk County, well, politics in general, back in 1991. And during my 20 some years, almost 30 years involved. This is probably the most consequential presidential election that I've ever been experienced. You know, I feel Donovan's passion. Just today, Trump um, tweeted that Black Lives Matter is a symbol of hate. This is the same person who refused to or said that in Charlottesville that the marchers there were very fine people, but yet Black Lives Matter is a symbol of hate, and all the other things that he's done to really put a wedge in the racial divide in this country. He is doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the Southern strategy. I believe he thinks that there are more people who view diversity as a negative thing, who have prejudice or hate in their heart, than there are people who find kindness and love for most people in their heart. And I happen to think he's wrong. But it doesn't matter what I think or what you think. It matters who were able to get out to the polls this year. Because there are a lot of people who feel like the system just doesn't work for them. Whether they like Trump or not, whether they like Biden or not personally, they feel that the political system doesn't work for them, so they're just not going to get interested. But we have to make sure those people come out to the polls, that that they vote, that this year, every year, but particularly this year, is there dire consequences. Because I can't even imagine what another 4 years of Donald Trump would be like. I mean, I know, yeah, I think, I know Jason said to ignore the polls, and I agree with him.
I'm sorry, Dwayne. I hate to interrupt, but I don't know if you all can see each other. Literally, everyone just shook their head in absolute fear of the thought of 4 more years. So I beg you, hold on to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just spoke to a gentleman yesterday who has family in Trinidad. He says if he gets elected, he's seriously thinking about moving his family to Trinidad. And it's just it's to think about I can't believe it's been 3.5 years, but to even think about another 4 years it makes me tremble. And I know Jason, and I want to thank Jason for being on the call tonight. I'm so proud of him and all the work that he's doing. Who's a very hard worker, very compassionate, and has a heart to serve. And I'm glad he's in that position because he's the right person for it. I know Jason had mentioned ignoring the polls, which is true. But we know that Donald Trump's not ignoring the polls. He realized that he's in trouble. Anybody with any political instincts or experience realizes that right now, in this time, the polls favor Biden, and that could change at any moment. But with Donald Trump watching the poll numbers, he's spiraling. He doesn't have it in him to reach out beyond his base, so he just doubles down. He's doubling down to his base, and the more he does that, the more vitriol he kicks up, and the more he identifies a true person that he is, and I think that sadly really exposes him to who he really is. But I think it's actually a motivating factor for people like yourselves that are on a call today, that something has to change. And so we have to be willing to sacrifice. We have to be willing to realize what's at stake. I think there are good-hearted Republicans out there that realize that, hey, I may disagree with Joe Biden on a number of issues, but the one thing that they agree with him on is that he would be a better person. He's empathetic. He would bring more dignity to the office. And just another group today, I think they call themselves 46 or something. They're a bunch of Bush appointees that opened a super PAC. And there are a number of them out there that realize that we can't go with this tribalism. We have to really do what's in the best interest of our country. And as a veteran, to see this story about the bounties and the Russians, and Trump just will not say a negative thing about about Putin or Russia. And I agree with Donna, we got to get him out, but I want to get him out, and I want him to be investigated in a thorough and proper way, because I truly believe there's been some crimes that have been committed that that he hasn't been really investigated on, and so I tend to believe he belongs in a 6x6 cell, and I'm not just saying that for a fact. I really do believe, not having any more knowledge than anyone else on the call, but just from just my sense, that he is not only the wrong person, but I think he has committed some criminal acts, and our stature around the world has been diminished. So there are so many things. I can go on for an hour saying, what Trump has done, but I'm really preaching to the choir. But I can't really emphasize how important it is to really get out and do all that we can, because we were sitting here about this time last time, and Hillary Clinton was ahead, and I remember thinking, there's no way that people would vote for Donald Trump, and they did. I mean, Hillary got the popular vote, but he still was able to squeak out an electoral college victory. So we can't underestimate it. We can't underestimate that there's going to be some potentially dirty tricks. I mean, look at what they've done in other states, Ohio and Florida and Kansas, with voting rights laws. I mean, I just saw the other day with the primary, I forget what state it was, they reduced like 200 polling places to one polling place, and people waiting in hours for 6 hours to vote. That's happened in Ohio, that's happened in Florida, and it just only seems to happen in Democratic voting areas. So they're going to do all they can to suppress the vote, but we got to be diligent and ensure that not only our family and friends here, but if you know people out of state, we got to let them know that you got to get out and vote, because every vote literally is going to matter, and it's for our country. It's not for a party. It's for our country, and so I appreciate you understanding the challenge of our time, and I think on January 20th we'll all be grateful for the effort that we put forward, and I look forward to your questions. And again, thank you for inviting me here tonight.
May I start
Thank
with
you
one?
so much.
May I start with one? As both Jason and you have so much experience working in areas like Wyandanch and such minority areas, really hard to drive out, as I will learn here for CI in Brentwood. What is a suggestion, especially in this COVID realm, to maybe approach that and try to make sure that they are included and that they understand their vote matters just as much as every other place in the country?
Right. So in those low turnout areas, I think it's important to, I mean, it's a challenge, obviously, with the COVID situation, but for any campaign, it's really just presence, having a presence out there. I think we'll see, and I hope I'm right, we'll see a larger than normal turnout in those communities, because I have opportunity to speak to a lot of youth groups. And just for example, when I speak to them, and usually I'm telling them, when I was a legislator, what I did, or when I'm a town councilman and they're falling asleep, but inevitably the conversation gets to, well, what do you think about the president? And they wake up, and these are like 12 and 13-year-olds, and they're like, he's a racist, he's this, he's that. So they are, and obviously they're probably hearing it from their parents, but they're engaged. And I think if the kids are that motivated, I think you'll see people that generally don't vote, but we have to make sure and remind them that they have to vote and what's at stake.
I have a question.
I
Thank
would.
you.
Go ahead.
Am I on mute?
You're good to go.
Okay, 2 questions. What about postcards, sending postcards to people? Is that a good idea?
I saw, Carla, I saw your message in the group. I think postcards are a great idea, especially if they're personalized. You know, Dwayne and I, when Dwayne was running, we would run around and do like friend to friend letters. So I think friend to friend letters, postcards, reaching out. You know, carrier pigeon, whatever you can get to get people out. I think it's great.
But how do you get it to, who do you mail, where's a mailing list? How do you know who to mail them to?
You can mail it to, if you know, especially friends in swing states or even friends here that aren't that active. One of the things on my to-do list is I'm actually trying to coordinate with the National Biden campaign to make a list available to accomplish this. So in the meantime, if you are excited to do this, I implore you to go. But if you know friends in any swing state or someone here who's just not that active that, you know, might need a pick-me-up and maybe a push or a hot poker to get to that poll, then please.
Do we buy the postcards? How are the postcards done?
I do think that in like a campaign in normal settings would, you know, have a field office and everybody would come, have some pizza, some soda, and mail out postcards, and they would in fact supply them.
Right.
I don't know if the Biden national campaign is necessarily going to do that. So when I wrote, like, we're working on it, we are trying to actively figure it out, or if we have to fundraise to make this, you know, to make this come to fruition. COVID does make things, it has a tendency of throwing a monkey wrench in just about everything. But that is on the high on the priority list, because there are some people that don't necessarily feel all that great about making calls, so I promise it's not as scary as you think it is. But if you're more comfortable making postcards that, hey, we want to make that a thing, and there's plenty for everyone to do. There's millions of Americans that need to be reached. Some will be reached by phone, some will be reached by social media, some will be reached by postcards. So definitely we have that on the to-do list. If you are excited to get that moving, pull out your phone book and see who you have, and you're gonna have to, I think, buy the postcards for now, because I haven't found the right contact in the Biden campaign just yet.
You don't have to sign your name. You could just send out. You could send it out. You don't have to sign who it's from, right? Or do you?
No,
sign it?
I would sign my first
if it's
name
personal,
and maybe
yeah.
leave the rest out.
What?
If you're sending a personal letter to someone you know in a swing state, it's probably best to keep your name in there, give that personal tie-in. If we're doing something as a group with official Biden mailing list, you can just put your first name in or just an initial or something if you don't want to give away your personal information. But there are lots of different approaches taken, and it's definitely something that we're going to be looking into organizing formally.
And one other question: when is the thing on Tuesday for the phone bank? What time?
30.
What?
6:30.
Oh, okay. We'll get a link.
I'll put one in the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
And one other thing I would say is last week on the chat they had somebody from the Biden campaign, and there's the Biden app, and so if you do the Biden app and you go through, and actually I did it last week, and it goes through your phone, and it tells you who to connect with. You can't see it because I have this Biden background, but I'll close it up so it doesn't work. So it goes through your phone, and it has like some of the contacts, maybe people you haven't reached to in a long time, and it has a text message, a pre-made text message that you could reach out to folks as well. And so what that does is, I have folks from Ohio and New Jersey and California and a whole bunch of other places, but it says, if you haven't talked to them in a while, it has a one message. If you have, hey, I've saw this Joe Biden video you might want to be interested in, that's a kind of a link as well.
Yeah. And
Can I say something?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry. I was just pointing out that, we're a group of 40 here. We're a very small group in Suffolk County. So as far as postcards go, if each of us just drop 10 postcards to 10 friends and ask them to do the same, like-minded people who can spread the word. It's like that old, you tell two friends and they tell two friends. And that's kind of what we're doing here. It's very grassroots, and maybe the Biden campaign can't pay for it, but if we each just do 10 little postcards to 10 friends and ask them to do the same, the whole goal is get the votes out, because there's definitely way more people that want Trump out than want him in. It's just a matter of getting them to the polls.
Yep, absolutely. And as Vincent mentioned, there are different ways to to do this, obviously the most effective way is to reach out to people that you know, but there have been, times when people just send out postcards to people who are likely voters. So I would suggest that you reach out to people in your own network that you know first. Like I have a twin brother that lives in Texas. Texas is gonna, maybe be a swing state this year. I have a half brother and a half sister that live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I've reached out to them, and and you can ask them to reach out to their friends to do the same. Because we're in conversation, it's all come up about Trump and how we got to get him out, but we got to really think strategically about how we can really influence the vote, not here just locally, but through our network of family and friends throughout the country. Because literally, when the last election was lost by a small number of votes, although Hillary had I think it was like 3 million more votes with the popular vote. So we have to, and those votes are gonna potentially help down ballot candidates. So. But that's great that you're thinking about that, and it's very effective. And I would suggest that you reach out to, if we're going to reach out to people that we don't know, I suggest that we reach out to people that we do know first, and then reach out to other people as well.
But what do we write on
Absolutely.
the postcard? Like, is there an approval process? What do you want on the postcard? I've never done it before.
Well, if you're writing to
So
your
when you go
personal-
through, if you go through Biden's campaign or like a post organization, they give you a script, an idea. But if you're just writing to friends, family, and swing states, whatever you think is best. Because at this stage, we don't have an official Biden postcard campaign. They haven't launched that yet. That's something that we're looking to do. That's something we're looking to plan in the long term. If you want to do postcards right now, it's really just a personal postcard, whatever you think will appeal to the specific person you know. But when we do get an official sort of postcarding campaign, this goes through text messages and everything as well, and we're getting together to do it as a group, we will of course have scripts, mailing lists, and it'll all be very clearly laid out. But if you're sending a personal postcard, that's really up to you.
A great message. A great message might be, remember how we all thought Hillary was going to win in 2016. We took it for granted because Trump has that message out there right now that he's giving up. So guess what? A lot of Democrats might decide to stay home because he's giving up, and and Biden's going to win anyway. People can't have that complacency this election. It's so important that everybody gets out.
Absolutely. One thing I keep seeing pop up in the chat is we are going to be reaching out to swing states right now. The Biden campaign is asking us, when we do make our phone calls, to call other New Yorkers and let them know that there are other New Yorkers out there that, one, care about them, and two, are backing Biden just like them, and encouraging them to get involved. I know there's only like 40 of us on the Zoom call right now, but last week there was almost 100 of us, and next week we can be back up to 100. It is 4th of July weekend. Some people are trying to have vacations and the like, but even though we may not be the same 500 of us in this Facebook group on this call every week, there is, at least so far that we've identified in just a couple of weeks that we've opened this in Suffolk, over 500 of us. And I haven't even, I don't have that many contacts out east. And now imagine that if each county kind of picked up and followed the same model and brought, because all politics is local, bring this national campaign back down to this level where everybody here said, you know what, I'm going to pitch in, I'm going to reach out to 10 people I know. And I'm going to ask them to reach out to 10 more people, just like we were just saying. So even though it looks like it's small, this is a really big effort that's growing by the day, I promise. This started out with Vincent and I just literally inviting 10 people and then 10 more people, and then like when I started to see some of my my friends invite others and some electives joining, I knew I was really making some progress. So thank you guys for joining on. I'm sorry for the chaos going on behind me, but we can do this, and we just need to have the positive attitude and allow ourselves to be excited, because we do have a great candidate and we have a really exciting race, and there's a lot at stake, but that's all the more reason to get fired up and in the words of Obama, fired up and ready to go. Just because we're isolated doesn't mean that we can't pitch in together and get excited on these calls and then take it and put it to work. So it's okay to just be excited. It's a little intimidating to realize how much is at stake, but we will be getting it together. This is a new format for everybody. So we're gonna find some niches and we're gonna find out who does best what, but we will make that progress. And if we all stick to it, we can. There's nothing we can't conquer, especially in the days of social media.
We have a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jason, and also Lori, for talking a little bit about polls. When we go back to 2016 and we think about that election, we were blindsided. Like, Henry and I sat there on election night and we said, how the hell did this happen? And I don't think we used that word. And then we looked at the polls. All the polls said we were going to win. And I have to tell you, as Lori just mentioned, I think people look at the polls and they become complacent. And I think the single most important word we have to get out there is urgency. This is about, I think Beyonce said it best, we have to vote like this year, like we're voting for our life. And we really are. People are going to leave this country. People are going, we can't have him win again. And we look at the polls and the polls keep saying, and those polls, I think, remember the book we had to use in statistics, How to Lie with Statistics? I don't even think they were putting out polls that weren't accurate. And I'm sure that Trump was behind it when we were looking at those polls last time around.
Or even if they were, people saw the polls and said, I don't have to go out and vote.
Yeah,
and
you become
people are going to be
complacent.
more apt to not go out and vote this time because of the virus.
I wish they wouldn't publish a single poll. The only thing is urgency. Just, we have to get out and vote. Don't care what the polls are saying. The polls could say that Biden is winning, just like you, Jason, 80-20%. And that was wonderful for you. But people see that and they say, well, I guess I don't have to vote. So what if I don't get the polls this time around? And we have to shut the polls down until after the election. There's a single message, and it's urgency. And more so than ever in my whole life. Debbie Dingell was on, she's a congresswoman from Michigan, and she said, they're publishing polls in Michigan. This was last week. She was on CNN or MSNBC, and she said, before the election in 2016, they were publishing that Hillary was going to win by 6 points in Michigan. And then it turns out that she lost by several points in Michigan. And Debbie said, well, look, you know what? We're using the exact same pollster this time around that's saying Biden is winning. So we have to learn from our mistakes.
We don't. We're Democrats.
Yeah,
well, I have to say that he is doing things differently. Like, we've been working with, polls is, individuals, the campaign doesn't control them. But he is learning differently compared to Hillary Clinton. I'm so sorry. We right now, the campaign contact that we've been working with has left, which is one of the reasons why I said we're trying to find the right people to work with. He has left and gone to Michigan. They have pulled out most of their paid staffers and they're putting them into swing states, which is something that Hillary did not do. Instead, we have a volunteer structure, and we work within that volunteer structure to work in New York. So he has learned, the Democratic Party has learned from their, at least that last mistake. Getting back to the polls, you're right. They in many ways set us up for failure. I know I did not pitch in for the Hillary Clinton campaign like I did for Obama, simply because, well, I was expecting a child and I figured, oh, she's got this under wraps. Who the hell would ever vote for him? Little did I learn that I went to bed that night in election night in tears because my whole family has Obamacare, and I was terrified I was going to lose my health insurance that I fought so hard for walking the hills of Pennsylvania. So I totally understand your interpretation, and that's why it is all the more important that we keep doing what we do and keep working even harder, despite the fact what any poll says. And we have to keep spreading that message.
The average Joe doesn't know that. That's the average Joe doesn't know that. And the other mistake, this is for you, Leanne, and for Anthony, is the fact that, Hillary was so set on winning New York that I think she ignored. So I would go out to my committee. I'm a committee person. I would go out to knock on doors. I would just call the campaign and say, Hillary Clinton campaign, if I could even get through, can I just get some lit to go to the doors and leave lit, Hillary Clinton lit? and I would never get any. They just weren't doing anything because they were so.
Can I interrupt? Can I interrupt? I'm so sorry, but I think everyone is way off. I'm talking way off, from postcards to knocking on doors. And I recommend a movie for everybody to watch. It's called The Great Hack, and it's on Netflix. I mean, the campaign was ultimately won on social media, and that's a known fact. And I got to disagree with everybody that you really have to be active on social media, from Twitter to Facebook, because that's where a lot of the negative information, a lot of the false information is being communicated.
I agree with
And,
you.
and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I'm just saying, like, we spent like 20 minutes on this now, from postcards to knocking on doors, and it's not really effectively communicating how it works right now. And that's social media and
you're
Twitter.
You're right about that, but we still have committee people and we still have that Democratic base, which you have to kind of invigorate and get them excited. And again, I felt like the Clinton campaign didn't really have a presence around.
So just to cut in, we can.
But that's all I want to say.
We can do. We can relitigate 2016 all day long. I have strong opinions on pollsters, methodology, efficacy of certain methods. There are 1,000 factors that went into Trump's win, 1,000 unpredictable methods. You can blame it on polls. You can blame it on complacency. You can blame it on an overly focus on data by the Hillary Clinton campaign. You can blame it on the fact they ignored the Michigan Democratic Party. You can blame it on James Comey. You can blame there's 1,000 things. And the real one thing that is certain is that we will never actually know what it was. We will never know for sure what factor tipped the scales. The good news is the Biden campaign has learned a lot from 2016.
Good.
I can attest personally they are investing a lot of money into Michigan and Wisconsin. They have a lot of organizers on the ground. One of the big things that plagued the 2016 was that it was all data-based. There was no listening to local Democrats. Biden campaign has taken the perhaps complete opposite approach. They're heavily invested. I have a friend who is the chairman of the Sagawau County Party in Wisconsin. It is a small rural county in northern Wisconsin, tiny population, very Republican. He says there are at least 10 Biden organizers who have come out and reached out to him and are in charge of the region. They are not leaving anything on the ground. So we can talk about 2016 all day. We all have opinions, but it's not
but we
productive.
could also talk about what's happening right now. If you have a city like Seattle
absolutely.
that's on fire, hang on a second. Hold on a second. Let me just finish. I'll be 30 seconds. If you have a city like Seattle on fire that doesn't have martial law, or if you have a town in New York or Washington Heights and they're destroying police cars, I mean, we really have to understand what's going on here with Black Lives Matter. And Mr. Gregory, if anybody could just communicate like what's happening, because I'm a combat vet too, but I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in these active protests sometimes where you're destroying property. Like, I just don't know like how we're supposed to communicate these messages on social media. If you could just talk a little bit more about that and what your thoughts are, please.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. No, certainly, I think in today's environment, you can't run any campaign or grassroots effort, without having a social media component. I think, to go back to 2016, I think Donald Trump's capacity in social media was certainly underestimated, and they proved to have a very powerful and very sophisticated social media and digital campaign. Biden's digital campaign was slow to get up. I think that was one of the weaknesses that he had when he first started, but it's certainly got into gear now. And I'm hopeful that they'll have a strong, from all impressions, is that they are building a strong digital campaign, which is going to be important. So I wouldn't say do postcards and ignore social media. But I think certainly you can use all of the above. It's just another means, a way we communicate these days, and you can do it with it doesn't cost you anything. As far as the protest, I think people are frustrated. They feel that one, they're undervalued. Their voices aren't being heard. They're striking out. I don't think anyone condones violence, but I do sense, and I think we all witness frustration that's out there. And I think, who's better to have that conversation? Is it someone like a Joe Biden who's shows empathy towards bringing people together, or Donald Trump who says, I don't care what they do, I'm going to double down on my strategy that I find that's divisive? I think most people would agree. I mean, even, if we talk about polls, I think a poll came out today. It said, 70% of the people disagree with Trump's, approach on, what's going on with the protests. And I forget the number of there were a number of Republicans as well, especially independents. So I think most people disagree with his handling of the coronavirus, and most people disagree with his handling of the protests. And so that's why they're looking for someone who can bring us together. And however we can reach those people through, whether they're our neighbors or our friends on social media, I think we should do that. It's all on the table, and we shouldn't disregard anything.
I wholeheartedly agree with Dwayne. Like we were trying to say before, everyone has a niche. Some people are not strong on Facebook. I personally am better on Facebook than Twitter or Instagram. Some people are more comfortable at postcards. I can talk on the phone all day long. Everyone has a role to play here, and one is not complete without the other, because other people like to be reached in different manners. There are people that can't stand social media and would rather a piece of mail, while there are others that think that's a waste and would rather the social media. So there is no reason to be negative or to decide that one is better than the other, which is one thing I wanted to ask just everybody here. Just think for a minute. Why are you here? Why did you accept the invite? Why did you sign up? Why did you show up and be part of this? Because you're taking time out of your life in the middle of a pandemic to sit here and listen to different ideas, different electeds, different organizers who are trying this for the first time, tell you about how excited they are. But why are you here? What made you say, you know what, I'm jumping in for Biden? Think about that for a second, and think about how many other people there are that are just like you, whether it be because you are from a Black or a brown community and you're really scared of Trump, or because you have family that's immigrants. My mother-in-law is a first-generation Haitian American. My children were terrified that even though she's an American, they were going to take away their grandmother. Or, like I am, I can't stand just about anything he does. So you pick a policy and I promise you I'm against it. What is lighting you up? Personally, I'm also a leftover Obama girl. So the thought of having, piece of that back, I'm all for it. That's like coming home again. So if you want to jump off your mic and tell me why you're here, I would really love to hear it, because I think we also need a lot more of that compared to the constant negative that we're being drowned in, whether it be from the MAGA hat across the street, the news, or what's coming up in your social media feed.
I'll go.
Hi, Leanne.
Leanne.
Hi.
I was
Hi.
that in 2016, I did a little bit for Hillary, just a little bit, because I was never politically active before, ever. And I actually wasn't surprised when 45 won, because I was listening, I was following a lot of people on Twitter that really seemed to be seeing things in a different way than a lot of the polls were seeing things. And so I wasn't surprised. I was horrified, but it didn't shock me. And the bottom line was, right after that, I became very, very much more engaged. And this year I decided that I didn't want to have to look back and say I could have done more. That whether we do or not, whether we succeed or not getting Biden in, I didn't want to have to say I could have done more, not this time. And, to piggyback on the poll question just for a second, the thing is, even if Biden's definitely going to win, it's not enough. He needs to win by a landslide. It needs to be such a comment that no one is putting up with this. It needs to be a complete indictment of what has been happening in our country. So even if even if you believe it's a done deal, everybody needs to vote anyway. And that's the only way. I mean, it just feels the only way that I can feel good about this. So that's my answer.
I wholeheartedly agree. Obama was the first president I voted for. I pitched in very little to the first campaign. The second campaign, I had, not to be too personal, but I had a lump in my breast and absolutely no insurance. No one would touch me, and my only shot at healthcare was ACA. And I was going to crawl over hot coals. Instead, it was climbing hot hills of PA and all kinds of heat throughout that summer. And to see him win, I have never, ever not turned back. If anything, I've gotten way more involved into politics, both local and federal. And I think as Americans, we take for granted that some of us just go out, and if we're lucky, some of us go out and vote, and then we hand over the keys to the castle, and then we turn around and walk away, and we're horrified to find out that nothing goes right. It's a constant process. And one thing I can say about Obama, even though I didn't agree with everything he did, he made me a better American because he made me more aware, and he made me more present, and he made me work harder. And if anybody else would love to share, we would love to hear it.
Well, I have to, after that comment that Obama was the first president you voted for. I was elected I was the first Democrat in the 8th legislative district to be elected to the Suffolk County Legislature, and that's probably before an awful lot of you were born. In 1968, I was the Western Massachusetts coordinator for Bobby Kennedy for president. The reason I want to get involved so much this time, I don't want Trump to be the last president in my lifetime. And that's why my wife and I, who's actually as politically active, that's why we want to get involved. We're planning on going to Wisconsin in October. Thank you.
Thank you.
So profound. Charles,
Wow.
I saw you had your hand up. Charles? Briscoe? No?
Hi, sorry.
It's okay.
Button. Yeah, I guess I mentioned it in the chat, and I saw John. I mentioned in the chat. I'm looking to you about, there's just so many, lies coming out of this president, this administration, and just want to see it change.
Leanne, can I jump in?
Oh, I'm muted. Yes. And Diane, you're next.
So I just wanted to reiterate something that you were saying, Leanne, in response to the comment about what can we do. And I think that when you speak from your own sense of urgency around the issues that you really care about, and you communicate that to your network, whether it's by postcard or on social media or by telephone, you are the best ambassador of the campaign, for whatever candidate, whether it's the president down to local school board. And it really conveys to the people that know you what your endorsement means. And I think that without relying too much on what should I exactly say, it really is about how you feel about why you are supporting the candidate and what that means to you, and convincing somebody that they should support the person that you support, and here's the reason why. And those person-to-person contacts are really so critical. And I think that's why, Dwayne was saying, reaching out to friends and family wherever they are the first contacts. When you say, I'm supporting whoever it is that you're supporting, it's a tremendous endorsement, and you can do that in whatever way you're most comfortable with. And that can be spread, shared, and really create a great network of support around this movement.
Hi. Hi. I have joined also Vote 2020. And can everybody hear me? Yeah. I joined Vote 2020 and I did it for 4 weeks, the training. And I've done campaigns since John Kerry. either going on a bus, phone banking, all kinds of things. So I've been doing it. But one of the things that I was heartened by, and John, I sort of speak to you on this, is that there's a great social media push by these incredible millennials. And part of Vote 2020 is adopting a swing state. My swing state is Michigan. And and they were just energized beyond belief and so focused. And they're saying all the things that we're saying, what Nancy's saying about urgency, about what you feel most comfortable in terms of what Christine said. But one of the things that I took away from it, the takeaway for me was, finding my own story to translate on a phone. And it's my own story that I can make personal so that people really hear, because I'm most comfortable actually going door to door. That's not going to happen. Or getting on a phone. And so it's finding your own authentic story to really connect with and try and get people to vote for Joe. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So we're going to
everybody,
take,
for sharing.
Yes, thank you so much to all of you that shared your stories. And as many people have just said, as Christine said, as Leanna said, it's these types of deeply personal stories that you need to be telling to the voters you contact. That's what you write in those postcards. That's what you write in those letters. That's what you say on those phone calls. You tell them why it matters. You make that emotional appeal because, when it comes down to it, we're all human beings. We can talk about statistics, we can talk about facts, but what really will get somebody to vote, what really will convince somebody is that personal, emotional connection. And that's the kind of thing we made today, and that's the kind of thing we have to be doing when we talk to voters. I was 5 years old when Barack Obama was elected president in 2008. And my parents loved him, my grandparents loved him. I would cut out pictures of him from the newspaper and put them up on my wall. And he inspired me. He was a president that inspired people. Donald Trump inspires people, but he inspires people to hate others. That's the distinction. There's a million reasons why I want Joe Biden in office. Not just because Trump has attacked immigrants and immigrants are my friends. Not just because he's attacked LGBTQ rights and that's personal to me. Not because he's attacked the very foundations of our democracy. But because Joe Biden's a man of compassion. Joe Biden is a man who spent 40 years in the Senate fighting for all of us. My health insurance is CHIP. That's the Clintons. That's Bill Clinton. And that's something that they tried to get rid of this year. My parents are on the ACA. There's 1,000 reasons. But it's these emotional, personal connections that we're going to make with voters. And it's those connections that's how you win elections. So thank you to all of you for sharing your stories. So we're just going to...
Thank you, Jason and Dwayne, for being here, and Christine and Valerie and every one of you taking out your time. And we look forward to working with everybody. And with that said, I'm going to let Vincent take the announcement.
Yes. So a few final housekeeping items to wrap us up, future events and things as a group, and then we will let you all go if you don't have any pressing questions for us. So first of all, this Tuesday, we do have an event. It is a phone bank for Joe, as I said at the beginning. You log on, we will share our screens with you and walk you through exactly how to start making calls. You get a script, we spend some time making calls, and then we come back and talk about it, just like we're all commiserating together in a field office. No bagels this time, unfortunately, because virtual, unless you want to get your own. But the exciting part is that stickers. We have about 100 Biden stickers, thanks again to Christian Hora from Huntington Dems for those. If you join our event on Tuesday, you make those calls. At the end, I will collect all of your addresses, and I will be mailing you a fresh, wonderful Biden sticker for your car, vehicle, wherever it'll best be in sight of your local Trump-supporting neighbors. So this Tuesday, I'm going to put the link to that in the chat again as the Facebook event. And remember, if you register for a Facebook event for us, just make sure you also click on that Zoom link and register there. That's where you can join. We have another meeting on Thursday. This meeting is on Wednesday because tomorrow, this is also you can find in our Facebook event section, we have a wonderful house party digital town hall type situation with the wonderful Christine Pellegrino, our former Assemblywoman and fantastic candidate for state Senate. So make sure you guys sign up for that as well. And then we have, of course, our next general meeting the following Thursday.
Also, if you could keep tallies of any calls you're making, we would love to know as a group the impact that we're having. The Biden campaign did ask that we call other New Yorkers to get them excited and get them involved, because then they spread us out and they get us working into those swing states, because we learned lessons. and we are going to make this in a victorious. I'm going to cry happy tears this year. That's my goal.
Can we get Vincent's cookies?
He has
I'll have to
cookies.
mail those out.
Yes, Vincent makes campaign cookies. I don't want a sticker. I want campaign cookies.
I got held out
We'll-
on.
we'll- See, that'll be an incentive for a later date. Well, I'll have to save that one. But yes, so if you make calls outside of our phone bank, definitely keep track of them because we want to see our impact, and of course keep track of them when we're doing a group phone bank. The final thing I want to get across is that we are always looking for good people to join us in leadership with Suffolk for Biden, particularly from our underrepresented towns. Right now, one of the things we're looking to do is get 1 or 2 people to serve in leadership from each town in Suffolk, because eventually, we hope, we're going to have plenty of volunteers all eager to phone bank and postcards, etc., from each town. It's going to get a little overwhelming. So what our end goal is to have 1 or 2 people from each town in Suffolk who can coordinate with their local volunteers, a Huntington coordinator, ISIP coordinator. Right now, we've gotten a lot of interest from Huntington, a lot of interest from Babylon, a lot of interest from Islip. Brookhaven a little bit, we have the wonderful Anthony Fortizzi, but everything east of that, especially, we've been sort of not having a lot. So please reach out to us if you're from an underrepresented town, and if you're from an overrepresented town. We want to hear from all of you, particularly, and I said this last time, if you are a woman, because gender parity is important, and right now our leadership structure is a bit male-dominated. So particularly to the women with us today, please email us. I'm going to put our group email in the chat. It's suffolkforbiden@gmail.com. Questions, concerns, comments, and if you're interested in serving in leadership and volunteering, shoot us an email anytime. We'd be happy to help. So that's pretty much all I have for you. Unless, Leanne, do you have anything?
And my chat froze a while back, and I saw a blip of someone asking for the link to Christine's event. So could you put that in there before
I'll put
we
that in.
close?
Yeah.
And I'm holding
Hold
my
on.
own as the only girl. I've gotten used to it. But yes, I would love some other
You're
estrogen to join.
selfish.
No, I wouldn't mind having other estrogen around. There's a lot of testosterone. So if somebody else wants to join me, please. I do bake cookies. Just like
Sign me up.
Then you shoot me an email and you got it. I'm taking you up on that. I'm writing
All
down
right.
your name, Lori.
Lots
I
of
have
S's in here.
I'm literally the mom
Okay.
of 4 boys and the only girl in my house. So this is not the only realm at which I'm totally left out on my own.
Do we have
So
a
I just threw
hashtag?
the.
Do we have a hashtag for Twitter for this group?
We do not have. You can always go with this, hashtag Suffolk for Biden. We do have a Twitter account. We just created it. It is relatively sparse. I will be working on that. It is at Suffolk for Biden, so you can check us out there. I just put the link for Christine's event in the chat as well, so you can all sign up for that. And remember, whenever you're signing up for one of our Facebook events, you have to also click the Zoom registration link, and we'll be getting on all sorts of social media soon. So with that, again, I encourage you to shoot us an email, suffolkforbiden@gmail.com. Thank you so much to Councilman Duane and Legislator Richburg for joining us. Amazing as always. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you to all of us who joined, especially those of you who asked questions, shared your personal stories. I couldn't be more appreciative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So with that, we're gonna wrap up for today. So thank you so much to all of you, and you all have a great night.
Thank you. Have a great night. See you soon.
This was a great meeting. Before you like ixnay me from the group, I want to confess I am a Republican. Converted.
Well, we're happy to have you.
No,
You are
welcome.
VIP. You are a
Welcome.
VIP.
We love you.
Converted.
Oh,
And
we love
I don't
you.
want
We
you to
need
think
more
I'm
of
a
you.
Spy. Not a spy at all. I love you guys, and I'm completely converted. I'm yours.
You just made my
Well,
night.
Welcome to the club.
Okay.
Welcome, Lori.
Thanks. Love you too. Bye.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Dwayne and Jason. We'll talk later, guys.
All right, Donna.
All right, now to figure out how I end this meeting.